Thank you for joining us in today's Connection Point End Times News Briefing podcast. And if I was to title this particular update briefing, which it's really not in the sense that it's an end times update, but just more of a sounding the alarm. It's time is short, so that's just kind of, if I was to title this thing that. The time of recording this is October 1st, 21st, Wednesday, 2020. It's 11:30 a.m. and we have 14 days to the most important election in U.S. history. And to simply put, it's a battle of worldviews: light versus darkness, righteousness versus wickedness, good versus evil. And that is what we're seeing going on. This is what we're reading and hearing about before us today. The spiritual battle is only going to get more intense as we get closer to the election. And I also believe after the election, and there are serious consequences for what is about to happen. And the fact of the matter is, no matter what the outcome is, one way or another, the Lord is still in control. He is still sovereign, and don't lose sight of that. Our hope and our trust is in the Lord, not in who wins or what party over another. And so we need to do our part and what we can do to make a difference. And like it says in Proverbs 21:31, the horse is prepared for the day of battle, but deliverance is of the Lord. So we need to prepare, we need to pray. Most importantly, we need to do what the Lord would want us to do. We need to love our enemies as well. And we need to get out there and make a difference. And right now, we need to sound the alarm. Time is short before the rapture of the church and the beginning of the tribulation period. We don't know when these will take place, but it's in the very near future. We are living in the end times, as we talked about in the last update. And so we should expect chaos and confusion and deception from the enemy, from Satan. So we need to speak up and stand for truth. Don't tolerate the intolerance from the liberals or the left or the media. And one of the biggest issues that is going on today is that of censorship. And you have Google, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and when it doesn't fit their narrative or their view, or it's exposing what's really going on, whether it's exposing what the Democrats are doing, what's going on with COVID, they try to get away with it. They try to block it. And so they block the truth or the real news. They ban you. They remove your video. They change the algorithm so people will not be informed. And it's only going to get worse, unless something is done to stop it. But we need to be as bold as we can in getting the truth out there, exposing the lies, really, of the left and the deception and the plans of the Democrats. That's a whole different agenda that's going on there. But the most important truth that we need to proclaim is the truth of the gospel. That's priority number one. The gospel is the answer to mankind's sin issue and problems. The gospel solves the racial and social injustice issues today. It transforms a person's life and it transforms society. Now, everyone wants to know the future or what's going to happen. Or, they want peace and comfort and security and hope. And one of the things that we're seeing more frequently is all these different end-time dream visions and dreams that people are having and being posted online. And when you start to look at a lot of them, you see there's some consistency. The theme, the main points, whether it's truly from the Lord or whether there's a lot of influence of wishful thinking and prayers and what we're hoping would happen. Do believe that these visions is really what the Lord is telling us as well. But I'm also praying, most importantly, for the Lord's will to be done regardless of what happens. Now, on a practical thought, I'm going to get very political here, and I have no problems in sharing because it matters. And there's only one way to vote as a Christian, and that is with the biblical view. What does the Bible say? And you look at the different parties and the characters involved. And again, there's third parties out there, but there's really two main parties. So my encouragement this time, don't throw that vote away. Make it count. And it's easy to decide who to vote for. It's a no-brainer. When I have people that would come up and say, how can you vote for Trump? Well, I would simply say, I'm not just voting for him, which I know he's a sinner. I know he's not perfect. But I'm voting for the Constitution and the right to defend it. I'm voting for the unborn babies and that they have a right to live. I'm voting for religious freedoms. I'm voting for the right to speak my opinion and not be censored. I'm voting for an administration that supports and defends Israel, perhaps the most pro-Israeli president by far. I'm voting for the Second Amendment. I'm voting for the police and law and order, for strong military, for to end the sanctuary cities, which has just been disastrous. I'm voting for legal immigration and secure borders so terrorists and criminals and drugs don't come into the country and to kill and harm Americans. I'm voting for the electoral process and the republic that which America is. I'm voting for reduced taxes, for eased regulations, for the return of low unemployment and high economic growth, which happens with lower taxes. I'm voting for the restraining of the size of the government. I'm voting for school choice and chartered schools. I'm voting for an administration that has done more for the American people than any other president. He's done an excellent job keeping their promises. I'm not just voting for one person. I'm voting really for the future of America. And if you look at the candidates and the policies that's running for president, the only one that really ticks that box is President Trump. He by far is the best president in U.S. history. What he's accomplished in these last 3.5, 4 years, what he's had to put up with, no other president has had to endure. And I've said it again, I've said it before, I don't know how you can be a Christian, again, true born-again believer, how they can vote a Democrat Party, which is so deceptive, so demonic, so devious. It wasn't always that way, but it certainly is that now. And if you really care for your future, your religious freedoms, if you love America, then you're going to probably vote for Trump. But it's up to you ultimately. But here's the thing, keep in mind, elections have consequences. If Biden gets in, you can kiss America goodbye. The Constitution and your freedoms. The only way that really for that to happen is if Biden and the Democrats rig the system and they cheat. The polling is off. It's wrong. We saw this the last time with Clinton in 2016. And when you say you're going to vote for Trump, you get such a backlash. The hate, the abuse that you get in return, which is why a lot of people don't say that they're going to vote for Trump in those polls. And I know Trump, I knew he was going to win in 2016, but just looking at the rallies and what he would say and how, who would show up to that. No one shows up to the Biden or the Clinton, campaign rallies. You look at Trump's rallies, you see these huge, massive turnouts. The energy, the movement is overwhelming. But the bottom line is, if you are a believer, we need to pray, we need to vote, we need to stand for the truth. We need to be praying again for this election. We need to be praying for President Trump and Mike Pence and the whole cabinet members and for the campaign, for the election process, that it's true, and that those who are trying to hinder and stop and cheat the election, that they would be exposed, their plots and plans would come to nothing. But ultimately, we're praying, Lord, your will be done. No matter what happens, we're going to trust you. Amen. And that's it for today's update. Until next time, may the Lord radically and outrageously bless you.